All right, back here on Locked On Ravens and Locked On Broncos. Kevin Ostreicher and Sayre Bedinger still rocking out with you here, talking a little Ravens-Broncos Week 9 matchup. Just as a reminder that this Crossover Thursday episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL. Use code all lowercase LockedOnNFL to win $50 instantly when you play $5. All right, Sayre, let's get into some predictions. There we go. Let's get into some predictions for this, but let's start off first with some keys to victory. So you're the away team. I'll give it to you first. What are 3 things that Denver has to do in order to win this game?
Well, number one, and it's a key every single game for the Denver Broncos, is find a way to make the opposing quarterback's life miserable. And that, like you said earlier, going to be very difficult to do against Lamar Jackson, bordering on impossible given his skill set, but maybe not if he's hurt going into this game. We'll see, but still a tough task nonetheless, because 75% of Lamar Jackson is probably more athletic and a crazier playmaker than the Broncos will see all year at the quarterback position. So number one is try to make the opposing quarterback's life miserable. In this case, you're trying to do it against just a guy who's probably about to win his 3rd MVP award, right? So that's the number one thing. Number two, your guys got to go make plays for the quarterback. Bo Nix had 4 total touchdowns against the Carolina Panthers, and still the Broncos left a number of huge plays out there on the field. 3 touchdowns dropped by receivers. So another couple of fumbles last week. Can't have that, and that leads to key number 3. Do not make mistakes. Do not turn the ball over. Don't be fumbling the ball trying to gain extra yards. Don't be losing the football when you're getting pressured from behind. If you're Bo Nix, take care of the football. Let this be at least a 1-possession game going into late in the 4th quarter and give yourself a chance to win. Don't let the Ravens, put their foot on the gas from the very early portion of this game and not look like you belong. The Broncos need to look like they belong in this kind of a game, Kevin, because ultimately since Super Bowl 50, they really haven't belonged in games like this.
Yeah, and I think for a Denver team, I like your analogy of playing with house money, and it's not saying that Denver, everyone they're just a fun little team and, they're really not this. No, they're a good team. This is a good Denver team that is exceeding all expectations this season. But I like that Denver plays free, and at least it looks like they've been doing that for the majority of the season. On the Baltimore side of things, I think there is a little bit of pressure because of the expectations that they have and the way that they lost to the Browns. So the first thing for the Ravens is just do the little things. Do the little things. And by that, I mean, obviously catch interceptions or just passes when they are in your hands. Penalties have been an issue for the Ravens throughout the majority of the season. And that's another thing where a big penalty can absolutely stall out a drive. And we've seen that multiple times for the Ravens this season. It has cost them in big moments. And again, it's almost like they beat themselves in a lot of different games. They certainly did it on Sunday against Cleveland. Not that Cleveland didn't go out there and play hard and do enough to win. They obviously did. But the Ravens made mistake after mistake after mistake. So if you do the little things, mistakes are less likely to come to you. And so that's the first thing for the Ravens. Number 2, I would say don't go too far away from who you are. I know that a lot of Ravens fans are upset with the way that Derrick Henry was utilized on Sunday, only 11 carries in that Week 8 game against Cleveland. Cleveland was stacking up the box and making sure that if the Ravens did run with Derrick Henry, it was going to be a lot more difficult. But if you are shown that looks, something that Baltimore did against the Commanders, for example, is the Commanders sold out everything to stop that run. And Baltimore used play action so perfectly in that game because if you're going to put 7 or 8 in the box, you just use play action, draw those guys in, and then you can plop it over their heads to the tight ends. Or you can go one-on-one with the wide receivers. So we saw against Cleveland, Todd Monken got super cute with the offense. 4th and 1 early. You have Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. You put Lamar Jackson out wide and have Derrick Henry run a wildcat play. That just takes away the element of Lamar Jackson because you always have to account for him. And on that play, Cleveland didn't. You have a 3rd and 1 in a key moment in the game, and you put your 3rd string tight end, Charlie Kohler, under center, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay. And then he false starts, and it's 3rd and 6 all of a sudden. So just stick to what you are and stick to what you know has gotten you there. That's number 2. Don't get too cute with the entire thing. And then finally, how the Ravens are going to win this game is their defense has to bounce back, particularly the pass rush in the secondary. It's as simple as that. You have to get pressure on Bo Nix, make him uncomfortable, speed up that internal clock for a young player. That will help the Ravens force turnover-worthy throws. Now, will they actually be turnovers? We will see. The Ravens apparently had all their defensive backs after practice on Wednesday at the Jugs machine, they were putting in extra work, rightfully so, after the display we saw against the Browns. But man, this feels like a game with Denver's defense and Baltimore's offense. Like, that's the matchup I'm just so looking forward to. It's, you know, it's like the immovable object you got, and then you got the unstoppable force. Like, which one is going to come out on top between those two? I'm super pumped for it. And I think this game, Sayre, could be one that comes down to the wire and might be a bit better of a game than some people are thinking it could be right now.
Yeah, what's the line on this game? 9.5 points as far as I last saw on FanDuel. So that's the biggest spread of the week out of any of the games, which is kind of crazy to me because I believe the Jaguars go to Philadelphia as well. So the Broncos are not getting any respect after their month of October, but that's okay. I think that they're a team that really has to prove it, especially against a team like Baltimore that, like, you know what? This is a Ravens team coming off of a loss. I'm sitting there all Sunday like, please don't lose this game. I do not want the Ravens coming off of a loss. You want to be the team that, you know, beats them. And because this is not a team that loses 2 in a row very often. I know we saw it early this year, but it felt way more like an outlier than anything else. I just think for the Broncos, proving that you belong in a game like this is critical. Even win or lose, this is a game that you come in, you go to Baltimore with a rookie quarterback. Sean Payton is obviously very experienced in games like this. The coaching staff is veteran laden. These guys know what they're doing. Can these young players go out and execute, or will the moment be too big for them? Can they prove that they belong in games like this in January, hopefully this year, as the Broncos currently the 5th seed in the AFC, but a lot at stake here, obviously, against a team in the Ravens. It's also competing right now for one of those top seeds in the AFC as well.
Yeah. Is Tyler Beatty coming back this week? Do you know?
No word on Tyler Bidet now, apparently, which is
Bidet.
We all found that out in his breakout game against the Buccaneers. We found out that he pronounces it Bidet now, but he wasn't. There was no report as of Wednesday's practice of whether or not he was coming back, so he should be eligible. But it was a pretty scary injury that he suffered against the New York Jets. So I wouldn't be shocked, especially with the Broncos having their top 3 of Javonte Williams, Jaleel McLaughlin, Audric Estime's out there. I wouldn't be surprised if Bidet gets another week or 2.
All right. Well, I brought it up because if he does come back, maybe no revenge games, please. On the Ravens side of things, Tyler Bidet and Ben Powers is another guy who signed over there. Big money deal for Ben. How's he been doing over there?
He's been great. He's been doing really well. That whole offensive line has been killing it, and he's a huge part of that. Playing next to Garrett Bowles, he's really helped solidify that interior, which has been just kind of locking things down. So we love having him. He's been a huge help for a team that can't draft and develop those guys as well as the Ravens have through the years.
Yeah, he earned that money 100% after the year he had in Baltimore, and I'm glad for him that he's been able to parlay that into a nice little Denver stint so far. But Sayre, should be a really good game on Sunday, and I think that for these two teams, both at 5-3, both in the playoff hunt, man, a lot of implications in this game. Because, by the way, if Baltimore loses, they will have 4 AFC losses through 9 weeks, which you don't want to have that. That's not great, especially when it comes down to actually playoff time and getting seeding for the postseason.